Prostitution Escort 101. What you need to know. I've been seeing prostitutes for about the better half of 6 or 7 years now. And I learned many things along the way that I didn't know back then, of the do's and don'ts of when you're seeing someone who's a prostitute. Legally, prostitution is illegal except for in one state, and that's in the state of Las Vegas, and I don't live there. That's why they use the term escorts when you're paying for a service. And now what goes on behind closed doors is between you and that person. The law has no say in it whatsoever. However, if you are caught, there's a penalty, and it is jail time. And a criminal record, unfortunately, just for trying to get laid. But one of the first number one things that you don't do when you're seeing a prostitute or an escort, never, ever, 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 ever fall in love with her. That right there is breaking all boundaries and breaking all lines. Because for one, she's never going to love you. She only loves you for your money, so to speak. She's only coming around just because you give her money. It's like feeding a stray cat or a stray dog. It keeps coming because you keep putting food out. But a cat will at least love you and respect you. A prostitute won't respect you. I know this because I've been with many prostitutes in my life in the last 7 years. I can tell you so many stories, which I'm going to tell you right now. First prostitute I was with, I was trying to draw on a blank because I've been with so many now that I'm starting to forget. I haven't been with a prostitute in almost a year. But my first prostitute was a local crackhead who lived in the neighborhood, who would give me blowjobs for change, literally. I'll give her coins, pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters, so she can go out and buy a bag of dope. She was black, African American. I wasn't really attracted to her at all. And I was single at the time. My other ex had just broken up with me. So I was on a rampage of trying to get laid and trying to have fun. And I wasn't in love with this one by any means. She was so fucking ugly. And I've taken shits that looked better than her, literally. That's how ugly she was. And I had to close my eyes when she was giving me a blowjob, and I couldn't even come. I got hard for barely a second. That was it. I saw her a couple times, and that was it. When I run into her, sometimes, once in a great while, she'll say hi, and she'll ask me if I have change. Sometimes I'll give her change, but I don't do anything with her anymore, so I'm not attracted to her. That was one of the earliest of all the prostitutes I'd been with. And then I started going to massage parlors where they would let me touch them and fondle them. And they would masturbate me, and then they would stop until I gave money. They'd put it to where I was erect, and I was hard, and I was ready to come. Well, not ready to come, but I was ready to get going in motion. And they would stop and then say, give me money. And they'd always do that. They didn't trap me. And a couple of those Asian massage parlors I went to, I sort of fell in love with a couple of the women, because I was seeing them on a regular basis. You know, it's kind of a fact. If you have sex with the same individual or same group of people continuously over and over again for months, weeks, years on end, you're going to end up catching feelings. It's just a given, unfortunately, but you got to fight that urge. If you're going to see a prostitute, don't fall in love with her. The last prostitute I was with is someone I've known for over 20 years. I knew them since they were a kid. They're grown up adults now, and they're prostituting. And I was attracted to them. And I started falling in love with them and catching feelings. That's kind of what drove me into not really seeing prostitutes, although I have that craving right now to want to go out and try to find me a prostitute. I tried to kiss her on the lips when we were making love. And I took off the condom after she gave me a blowjob. and I was trying to come inside her. I had her missionary style. It was really, really good. It felt so good because I had not had sex in almost a year at that point. And I finally was getting some after a whole year of not having sex, and it just felt so good to just release all that tension. And I was in love with this girl. I mean, I'm 17 years older than she is. She's very young. She's not even 21. She's pregnant, and the kid's not mine, she says. I told her if the kid is mine, I would take care of her regardless, because I've known her for so long. She's the one that I would do something for just because I've known her for so many years. But other prostitutes I've been with, there's one I picked up off the street who was a homeless heroin addict who gave blowjobs and would have sex. Her vagina was very loose, and I couldn't really penetrate her, so I didn't do that. Instead, I got a blowjob from her, and the condom wasn't working, so she took it off and just started blowing me, and it felt so good. And I was kind of starting to catch feelings for her too, because the blowjob was so good that I orgasmed in her mouth, and she swallowed, and it felt so good. She was in my shower right there for over 3 hours, and she stole some money from me after I'd paid her. I gave her an advance for us to have sex the next time, and she never came through with her word. And that's another thing too, you cannot trust a drug addict or a prostitute, because prostitutes essentially are also losers too for what they do. And with that sense, I'm also a loser too for going to them. Why don't I just get a regular girlfriend that I can have sex with, who's my girlfriend or my wife? Why? Because obviously I'm not good enough to do that. That's why. I don't have the skill that it takes to go out and find a girlfriend. And I've had girlfriends in the past. But seeing prostitutes just seems so much easier when a person wants to have sex. It's either that or go around picking up homeless girls off the street who are young and good looking. I've been with old hags too. I'm not proud of it. I had sex with a 60-year-old lady who had not had sex in over 30 years. And we did everything. We had sex from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. the next morning, straight. And apparently she was in love with me, and she tried to kiss me a couple days later, and I pushed her off. I had no interest in her. It was just strictly for the sex, and I felt sorry for her. She said it had been 30 years since she had had sex, and I even recorded her on tape, and I posted it on X-Hamster for people to see. And she was okay with me posting it, because I'm a sex addict. I love sex. I need sex all the time. I crave it. I want it. And that's another thing too. The do's and don'ts. Don't ever try to kiss a prostitute, a whore, an escort. Don't do it. Because they're not your girlfriend. They're not going to love you. You're just going to hurt yourself more. Some might kiss you, don't get me wrong. But in general, that's one of the no-nos. You don't try kissing a prostitute. And rule number 3, don't try eating them out or pleasuring them that way. Because they've been with a lot of other guys. Think about it. You're not the only guy. You're sitting there and she's fucked all those other guys, and all these other guys have eaten her out and have cummed in her. And you're going to sit there and eat her out? I don't think so. I had this one half-breed mixed prostitute, young one who was about 24 years old, who was homeless. She was like Puerto Rican, white, and black, I think. She was good looking, but her attitude fucking stunk to high heaven. She was a thief. She'd steal from me when she'd come in here. She'd take my clothes. I cooked for her, and then she tried to force me to eat her out, and I didn't want to eat her out. I was disgusted. I don't like being told what to do. If I choose to eat somebody out, I choose to. It's my choice. You don't ever put my head down there for me to eat you out. Fuck you. I make that choice. I'm the one in control. I make the rules, not them. A lot of them want to say they make the rules, but it's your money, your time. You make those rules. And always make sure to check. If you suspect that they work with law enforcement or that they're somehow in with the police, make sure you ask. Be like, are you a cop? Then they have to say yes if they are. However, if you feel that you're going to run into somebody who's with law enforcement, Run. Turn the other way. Go away. Don't go through with the deal. Find a different one. A lot of the ads on the internet try to suck you in with spam. You know, I'm all for prostitution. I wish it would be legal in every country and every state. Because there are people out there who cannot achieve sex, who don't have the social skills or the mindset. Some people who are special needs. Everyone deserves to get laid. Nobody should be denied just because they don't have the same facet of social skills that somebody else has got. Just because I don't have a girlfriend doesn't mean I should be grudged the right to lose out on having sex. I want to have sex. I'm a man. Masturbation doesn't always work. I want sex. I want pussy. Every day if I could. But I know that's not a reality. That is why I see prostitutes, or I did see prostitutes, and which I very well might go back to doing too. Don't kiss them. Don't eat them out. Do not fall in love with them. That's the main rule. Because they'll never be with you. They might lie to you and tell you they love you. Like this one, the last two told me they love me. And it fucked with my head emotionally. Really made me question things. Really upset me. I knew it wasn't true when she told me that she loved me. But for a brief moment I wanted to believe in my mind somewhere there was a shred of hope that she actually did love me and that we'll be together. That I'll help her raise that kid if that kid was mine. But I'm fucking stupid. Don't ever fall for that shit. If a prostitute tells you she loves you, no, she doesn't. She loves your fucking wallet and your money. Or whatever drugs you got, or whatever you have. Prostitutes only care about money. That's all they care about. Money, drugs. Prostitutes don't care about love. I had a prostitute that was living with me in here that I met off a dating site. And I started falling in love with her too. And I didn't want to see her as a client. I actually wanted to hook up with her and be her boyfriend. Because her piece of shit boyfriend had just thrown her out in the streets, and I kind of started having feelings for her. But she was never attracted to me. And I should have realized that a girl like that wouldn't go for me, because she was extremely good looking. Although she did drugs, she was probably one of the best looking ones that I had. She's about 5'6", brown hair, beautiful blue eyes, nice beautiful white skin, perfect tone, 35 years old, looked like she was in her 20s. It was a turnoff seeing her do meth and stuff and smoking cigarettes. And when you kiss somebody who smokes cigarettes, it tastes just like an ashtray. But yeah, I had her living with me, and she wanted to move in full time, but I wouldn't allow it because she wasn't giving it up to me. If a girl wants to live with me, she's going to have to give this to me. It's my rules, my demands. I want that. I don't care if it makes me selfish. I don't give a fuck. So be it. It's my choice. It's my rules. You're not attracted to me. There's a door. Leave. And don't fucking come over here trying to get sympathy from me. Because I want something. I'm hungry. I'm starving for it. I can taste it on the tip of my tongue right now as I say this. You cannot let a prostitute fuck with your head and tell you they love you, because they don't love you. It's a fucking lie from fucking hell. They'll take all your money and leave you bleeding. That one that I was telling you that gave me the blowjob, that was in there for 3 hours, brought somebody with a gun to my place. And this is before I owned any firearms. I decided to start getting a firearm after that moment. This person comes in here with a gun in my house. They didn't threaten me per se, but they were like they were waiting for the girl. It was another girl. She drops the gun on the floor. My friend's in here. He runs out, scared, afraid. Me, I wasn't afraid. However, I was very angry at the girl that gave me a blowjob and this person with a gun. I strongly considered fucking taking my Bowie knife that I have back there and cutting her throat, walking up behind her and just... I strongly considered it. My friend was telling me I should call the police. The problem with that is, had I called the police, what am I going to say? I let a prostitute in here and she brought her friend with a gun and I opened the door for them? That doesn't look good. It sounds like something out of a bad comedy movie. I was going to kill her and bury her in the yard where she'd never be found. Fucking worthless fucking thief, junkie, somebody that would never be missed. That's the thing, a lot of prostitutes, they do so many drugs, they've given up on life. And about 98% of them do drugs. You won't find a prostitute that doesn't do any drugs or has a gambling addiction of some kind. It's a fact. That's their way of life. A lot of them were bred into it. I knew one girl, her mom used to pimp her out at 3 years old as a baby to old fucking pedophiles. And that girl grew up to be a prostitute. She's 50 years old. She's still prostituting herself to this day. Because her mom taught her that way of life. And her mom did it so she can get drugs. It really pisses me off. People like that don't deserve to have kids or parents or anything. People like that deserve to die for doing that to a child. That I'm not for. No child should be forced into prostitution. Every prostitute should be of age, 18 and older, whatever the legal age is. Nobody should be underage. There's a lot of underage prostitution too that's out there. I'm going to tell you that right now. You got to watch out for that too. Do not, if you feel that someone is not of age, even though they say they're of age, look the other way and go away and say, you know, have a nice day. And go about your business. Don't take that person to your home. Don't do anything with them. Don't give them no money. And if you have to call the police, call the police. Because no prostitute should be underage. That's fucked up. Children are innocent, they can't consent. That I'm not for. But I am for prostitution, just not underage prostitution. And it happens in foreign countries. Mexico is a shithole. The legal age over there is 12 years old. I mean, how sick and sadistic is that? They got little prostitutes over there that are that age, and people go over to Mexico just to go have sex with them. I've never been to Mexico, and I'm not attracted to a 12-year-old. That's just fucking sick and disgusting. My woman has to look like a woman, not a little girl, bottom line. And this one that gave me the blowjob, who cut me with her piercing, was saying that I was bleeding. She did it to me like 3 times. I let her slide twice. The 3rd time, I ended up cursing her out and telling her to get the fuck out. The mixed one that was half Puerto Rican, half black and white. She cheated me. She took about $500 from me total. And she would steal from me. And as I was saying before, prostitutes, they always steal from you. You got to be careful. It's not really good to really be with a prostitute, but if you have a sex addiction or you need sex, you got to do what you got to do. There's no other outlet. There is no legalization of you walking into the beach and fondling a bunch of women in bikinis. That's just not a reality. I might dream that up in my head and play it in the scenario over and over again. But guess what? It's never going to fucking happen. Because if I do that and you do that, guess what? We're going to end up in prison. End up being sex offenders and registered on a sex offender list for the rest of our fucking lives, and our lives would be over. Might as well fucking put a gun to my head and pull the trigger. Because that's how stupid that would be if I did that. That's not going to happen either. So I'm just saying, those are the do's and don'ts of being with a hooker, or a prostitute, or an escort. And if they try to heckle you on price, you heckle them back. You discuss your fees and your figures, what you think is fair. Don't let them try to sucker you. I had this ugly heroin addict tell me that she's worth $700. I'm like, bitch, get the fuck out of here. It's hilarious. She thinks she's worth that because in her sick mind, she thinks people will pay that. I don't know. I guess there are guys out there that are that desperate who would pay that much. Me, I'd pay no more than $100 for sex. $120. $60 for a hand job. $80 for a blow job. $100 to $120 for full intercourse. That's it. No more than that. People pay like thousands for this. For those, especially those high-class escorts that you see on Craigslist or other websites. I wouldn't do it. Neither should you. But anyways, thought I'd share with you that story.